After Asus was making their announcement a short while ago, I was digging more and more into this particular lineup of Zenfones, which they claim is vastly superior to the previous generation. Whether this smartphone is just looking different from the outside or really new and exciting inside out, let's find out in this review of the Zenfone 3. First, Asus just made a big change on looks and feels when we compare this to the previous Zenfones. This phone can easily be a champion in terms of build quality in its price point. Let's say if the last Zenfone is a Ford Explorer, this phone is more or less a supercharged, higher version of that, a Ford Expedition. For example, a sheet of Gorilla Glass has replaced the back cover of this phone, which is previously plastic. It is also surrounded by a curved aluminum frame covered by one of the 4 available color scheme phone, which are Moonlight White, Shimmer Gold, Aqua Blue, and the one you're holding right now, Sapphire Black. So overall, nothing in this phone is made out of plastic, including the accents around the camera, fingerprint sensor, and also both the Zen design volume and power buttons. The grip on this phone is nice, but I'm still not getting used to the slightly protruding camera module. In case you're not used to own a phone with a glossy back, you better be aware when this phone slips away. Down below there's a USB-C port, a speaker and a microphone to see, while the headphone jack is to be found on top and a hybrid SIM tray on the left. One thing which I think has improved the looks is the removal of the Asus logo above the screen, which made this phone looks more calm and elegant. But it's unfortunate to see the touch-sensitive buttons below the screen looking cheap, especially without backlight. If the reason is to keep the manufacturing costs low, I think they would be better off with some on-screen buttons. Moving on to the display, the ZE520KL comes with a nice and bright 5.2-inch Full HD IPS Plus display with natural colors, and of course added by the same Gorilla Glass protection. Finally, it looks like Asus had enough with putting Intel Atom CPUs into their Zenfones, since the Zenfone 3 is loaded with a brand new Snapdragon 625, Adreno 506 graphics, 3GB of RAM and 32GB of internal storage. All that is more than enough to ensure all your apps from the lightest to the heaviest run smoothly on a daily basis on this marshmallow running device. Its Antutu score is high enough to wreck the almost similarly priced Oppo F1S. Several elements in this version of Zen UI is actually looking better than before, despite it's not the most beautiful UI to my eyes. One advantage of the Zen UI is very flexible customization settings, including personalizable touch gesture controls. Too bad, there's still a substantial amount of unremovable, annoying, unwanted apps. According to the official website, the tagline for this phone is "Built for Photography." I think that is a fitting tagline since the cameras are more than just good. On the rear there's a larger branded 16-megapixel wide aperture camera with optical stabilization for photos that totally helps when shooting handheld or to improve low-light performance since it enables the phone to shoot longer exposures. And electronic stabilization for videos. The autofocus is also really fast thanks to being assisted by a laser sensor just next to the camera. The pictures coming out are really sharp and is rich in dynamic range even in low light situations. Next is the electronic video stabilization, which makes the videos from this phone a bit more pleasant to watch despite being no match against optically stabilized systems. Meanwhile, there's an 8-megapixel front camera that produces not better than average selfies. Two unique modes in this phone is first called Super Resolution, which combines several shots into a single 64-megapixel picture, and a 4-megapixel low light mode to reduce noise when shooting at night. The battery is basically just average for a phone as big as the Zenfone 3, but since it has an efficient processor, I've never really depleted the battery so far, usually leaving about 20% at the end of the day. But of course it will be different when you browse and game a lot, since I rarely game on my phone. Additionally, the Sonic Master speakers in this phone is quite clear, although not exceptional. But for high quality listening, Zenfone 3 has a full, high resolution audio playback support. Overall, nice job Asus. Both from the outside and inside, This phone feels like a more expensive flagship smartphone. Other than the camera bump, capacitive buttons, and the slippery back, there's not much to complain about the Zenfone 3. If you guys are asking for the best smartphone for around $300, Zenfone 3 is totally one of them. It's up to you to pick up either the 5.2 or the 5.5 inch model, or if you want the absolute best, take a look at the Zenfone 3 Deluxe. That's just my experience with the Asus Zenfone 3. Don't forget to like, tell us what we should review next, and subscribe. Have a nice day!